All right, so let's start from the top. My name is Victoria Randall. I am a family nurse practitioner, but I am also the owner of a company called The Secret Cocktail. The Secret Cocktail is responsible for helping to create healthcare training schools all throughout the United States. But tonight, or today rather, for lunch, I'm going to be doing a series for the next 5 days. And during this series, I'm going to be helping people understand how you can start your own business and launch your own business. So, with this, whether you're starting a brick and mortar, whether you're starting a product, whether you're starting a service base, whatever, my goal is to help you understand how to do that. So I'm going to go through a few things. I have a framework that I use. And whenever I help someone get a business started, and that framework is something called names. So if you see in the middle here, I have names, which is NAMES. And so with names, this basically is an acronym. And so this acronym stands for naming your business, getting an address for your business. Even if you're brick and mortar, you do need to have an address. Hey there, thanks for joining. You do need M for money, right? We all need money to start a business. I don't even care if you are a service based business, you still need some type of money or capital. E is for employer identification number, also known as the EIN. And then finally is S for the Secretary of State, meaning you need to file your Secretary of State. Okay. So as I go through this framework and as you are starting a business, I want you to think about this framework. If you ever get stuck or you think about what do I need to do, the acronym is NAMES. Now, I do want to be clear, NAMES is not in order. So it's not like, oh, I get the name of the business, then I get the address, and so on. That's not in order. I'm getting ready to tell you the order in which you should do these things. So, first things first, we should identify the need for the business. Okay? Identify the need for the business. And I did start over from the beginning. For those of you who came in and you couldn't hear me, I already started over. So if you were there from then until now, you haven't missed anything. So the first things first is that you should never start a business without proving that there is a need. You really need to prove that there's a need. So, my suggestion here is in order to prove that there's a need, you need to look at the market and see what's going on. Because the last thing we want to do is jump into a business that is quote unquote what many people call oversaturated. Now, there's always a need for something, it's just how you're offering the service. How do you make your service different than another person's? And so when you think about how do you make your service different than another person's, if the market is quote unquote oversaturated, then you can make your service different. But I do want to speak on the oversaturation part first. So if there is an oversaturation and you identify that early on, it's good to back out and try a different method, a different niche or something, because if all 20 of us are selling t-shirts in the same area and what's going to happen is I'm going to be competing with you to get the cheapest shirt. You're going to compete with me to get the cheapest shirt. And next thing you know, a product that used to be $35, now everyone's trying to sell for $25 because we're all trying to undercut each other. But really, the problem is the t-shirts cost us $20 to make or from the and so really we're making $5 where before we were going to make 15. And so oversaturation is a problem. It is. I'm not going to act like it isn't. But then you also need to think about what are you doing and how you can do it different and how you can niche yourself. So identify the need. Now, there are some really great resources that I'm going to put in the chat. I'm sorry, not in the chat. I'm going to put it in the description box below. And those resources are the US Census Bureau and Harvard. Harvard does a lot of studies on business as they are the business college, right? And so you can go to their website to learn about all types of things that they've done to determine whether or not that business is something you want to get into. So for everybody that's here, I'm going to use you guys in examples. I want somebody to type in the chat your city and your state. So if you put in the chat your city and your state, I'm going to use it as an example on the U.S. Census Bureau's quick facts. And you guys know when the U.S. Census Bureau comes to your door or sends you a card in the mail and they're asking you all this personal information that none of you want to answer. Like, where do you live? How much do you get paid? How much is your house worth? Do you have internet? Like, they're asking you all these nosy questions and nobody wants to answer them. Well, for business people, this is good information because now I can take that information and I can go and use it. So we've got, actually, I'm going to use you guys, two people. So I have Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I have Durham, North Carolina. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put this, let's see if you guys can see it. Okay, so this is the US Census Bureau's Quick Facts. I absolutely love this. So what I do in Quick Facts is I'm going to put the state, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Okay, and then I'm also going to put in Durham, and sorry guys, it's first come, first serve, Durham, North Carolina. And if you look here on my screen, you're going to see different facts about everything that the US Census Bureau asks. And I hope this is big enough for you guys to see. Okay, so the first things first, there's a row here, and the row shows us that we are asking about Durham, North Carolina, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and then we're putting it up against the United States. So like in general, everything is put up against the United States. And if you want, I'm just going to put in like other cities just to, let's see, Indianapolis, because I know that is, and then I can do Fayetteville. I get a lot of clients in Fayetteville, so I'm gonna use those. And I can move these next to each other, or I thought I could. Okay. So here we go. So what I'm going to do with this information is I'm going to take a look, and the first thing I want to know is population. Now remember, you guys are going to have to remember because it's a small screen here. We have Fayetteville, Indianapolis, Durham, and Fort Wayne in that order. So it tells me right here that the population of people and this was recent as of July of 2024. And when I think about population, I think how many people can I sell to? That's my immediate mind. How many people are my potential customer? And again, this is if you are a brick and mortar or a locally based business. If you are a virtual business, then you want to look at the last one, which is the United States, because this, if you're selling to the United States, because this tells you the overall information about people in the US. All right, so here I have the population. So the very first one, which was Fayetteville, there's 200,000 people in Fayetteville, but in Indianapolis, there's 800,000. I find that interesting. Durham, there's 296, and then in Fort Wayne, there's 269. Okay, great. Again, that tells me how many people can I sell to. Now, I don't look at all of this data off here to the left. I only look at some of it. And so I'm gonna scroll down and okay, if you have a business that caters to a certain demographic, such as woman, man, Black, white, Native American, Asian, or whatever, this is also good information. So now I can see, okay, well, if my business is a business that is mostly to Hispanic people, I'm selling a service or a product to Hispanic people. In Durham, there are 13% Hispanics. Whereas in the United States, altogether, there's about 19% Hispanics. And then in Fort Wayne, there was only 10. And then we see Indianapolis, there's 13, and so on. So again, I want to look at my service. If I'm selling a service to an African American person or a Black person, Fayetteville has 42% Black. So that's going to be a really good market for me, unlike Fort Wayne, which is only 14%. Not to say I can't make money there, but what it is saying is that I'm not going to be able to make as much as I could have in Fayetteville. Does that make sense, everybody? I hope that makes sense to you. Type in the chat and let me know. I like this. I'm going to keep going. The next one is veterans. Let's say you serve veterans with your business, or you're looking to serve veterans with your business. And I'm going to scoot this over so you guys can see it more. If you are with a business that serves veterans, again, it tells me out of all these states, it looks like Indianapolis, out of all these cities rather, Indianapolis has the most veterans. They have 36,000, whereas Durham only has 11,000. So again, this is really good information to me, y'all. I kind of nerd out on this type of stuff. Let me point out something that usually is really good. I can find out how much people make in a certain area based upon their median value. Where'd it go? Here it is, median gross rent. So I can either see their median gross rent, or I can go one further and see if they actually own homes or not. Okay. What are their living arrangements? Do they own homes? Are they renting them? How much do they make? All that, I can see that in this housing. So here it is, owner occupied. It looks like Indianapolis has the most owner occupied, and Fort Wayne. Sorry, Fort Wayne and Indianapolis have the most owner occupied, whereas Fayetteville is more renters. That's good to know based upon the type of service I'm offering. If I'm in the housing market and I'm looking to start a business where I'm selling houses, this gives me good information. We can move down now to computer use in case you're trying to sell an online service. 94% of Americans have internet, and so it looks like all of these, except for Indianapolis, which is odd. Indianapolis is right under, but I mean, still 90% is good, so we're not going to complain about that. Ooh, here's my favorite because I'm in education. So because I'm in education, I like to see who's high school graduates or who actually has bachelor's degrees. I offer a service where I help people get a certificate, right? So they can become a CNA or a phlebotomist or whatever. And so those people, they don't have bachelor's degrees 9 times out of 10. So with that being said, persons with bachelor's degrees or higher, somebody said they were here from Durham. That's 55% of people have a bachelor's degree or higher in Durham, whereas Fort Wayne, only 28% of people have a bachelor's degree. So if I'm looking to start a CNA program, and by the way, I happen to be from Fort Wayne, so thank you for my family who's in Fort Wayne who joined us today. I probably would be looking to offer a school here. Again, I still need to look at the market outside of the population. Right now, we're only looking at the population. So anyway, I'm not going to keep going down this rabbit hole, but I think that this is really good information for you all. It talks about their income level, how much money they make. It talks about how many people live in the area are in poverty. So if you are trying to do a business where you are working with underserved and underprivileged, that's really good information to know. Yeah, we're going to stop there. Okay, next. As I mentioned before, there's also Harvard studies you can go look up too, but we're not going to get into that. I do want to stop for a minute and just remind everybody that if you are looking to get into entrepreneurship, don't be scared, do it. If you're already in entrepreneurship, stop half doing it, do it all the way. Because one of the greatest things about entrepreneurship is that you can make as much money as you want. There's literally no cap. When you work for somebody, there's always a certain amount of money that you can all cap out at. Maybe this position working as a secretary, it starts off at 20, but I can cap off at 30. I can't ever get past that. When you own a business, I'm here to tell you that you can start off making, I don't know, 100,000 a year, 50,000 a year, 30,000 a year, whatever your business is doing. But next thing you know, if you scale, you start getting employees, you're servicing more than just your local area, you're servicing on a national level. You can easily go from 30,000 to 300,000 because there's no cap. Nobody can tell you how much money you can or can't make. So please remember that. And that's why I love entrepreneurship. All right, moving right along. Let me go back here. So now let's talk about your business types. So who in here is doing a virtual business? I'm sorry, let me back up. Who in here is doing a service-based business or wants to do a service-based business versus a product-based business? Because this is a big difference. Product-based versus service-based. Put it in the chat for me. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a service or a product, either of these can be brick and mortar or online. Either one. So I can do like my company, The Secret Cocktail. We are a online virtual based business and we help people start healthcare training schools all throughout the United States. However, if I wanted to, I could be brick and mortar. If I serviced a lot of clients in Atlanta and a lot of businesses in Atlanta, they may often want to come meet me in person. And so for that reason, I need an office and so on, which is more and more becoming the case. I have had to go to offices of corporations to present to them there, but it's very likely it may be vice versa. Next would be your product. If you're a product-based business, Then if you're selling something that's tangible to people, that would be a product-based service. And so a product-based, you could be brick and mortar where you have an actual building where you go to every day and you sell your product to people, and then virtually you sell it online to anyone throughout the United States. I always, even if you have a brick and mortar, you need to also have a virtual office, a virtual offering too, always. Because who you selling to, for instance, in Fort Wayne, only those people in Fort Wayne. Think about on a national scale. Think about Arkansas, California, and so on. You could make dough. And so if you do have a brick and mortar, you always want to have a virtual online option. Now, I see most people saying they have a service. Okay, there are some products in here. And so, of course, the goal in business is always to have the least amount of overhead. And so virtual businesses have the least amount of overhead. But sometimes a brick and mortar is necessary, especially if you have to have like a warehouse full of things. Because I have a friend of mine, she sells, shout out to Abraza Skincare. A friend of mine, she sells a skincare line, and it's specifically made for people with pigmented skin. And this particular product line, I'm talking about, she orders it by the hundreds. And so she has to have a warehouse to put that in. So that is something to think about. The reason why I brought up this about the type of business you have is because you need to think about that, because it's going to be considering your startup costs. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, I'm not going to go into this today. We are going to talk about this Thursday when I go live at noon. But the reason why I am talking about this right now is because this is a part of your startup costs. Okay, when you start a business, you need to be looking at how much money am I possibly spending every month, and how much money am I possibly making every month. And it better make sense before I run and get me a brick and mortar. I cannot tell you how often people go and run and get a brick and mortar and they don't even know how much money they got to spend and how much money they got to make to keep the business in business. But yet you already signed a lease. That's a problem. Tell me, okay, so Pauline says, I'm really not understanding the two. Are you not understanding the difference between service-based or product-based? And to be fair, some products are service. I'll give you an example. My aunt is in here. She has Uniquely Sark. It's an LLC that sells jewelry. And so this particular jewelry line, she does make it by hand. It is handcrafted. So that technically is a service. But then it becomes a product that she can then sell to people. So it's a one and done one and done service for each item, but it is a product that's being sold. So it is very well that your business, quote unquote, could be both. Now, as she grows, she could send her items to production and have them done in a manufacturing plant, and now she no longer has to do the service part of it, quote unquote. She only has to do the product part. So it is very possible that you could have a product-based business that has service elements, but then the service elements could go away as you grow. Okay, and so the product in person versus online is just that. I sell bracelets and anklets to people in my brick and mortar, right? And so, and my brick and mortar is located in Fort Wayne, Indiana. However, I have people that may not be able to make it into my store. So what I do is I take pictures of all my items and I put it on the internet, and then people can go and see my items, click purchase, and then I ship it to them. That's the whole idea between drop ship. All right, next we need to identify name. Now this is probably my most favorite part of this entire discussion today, because you guys are going to name your business, and I know that's probably why you're here. The name of your business is so vital, and it follows you forever. And so I want to talk about this because oftentimes people will select a business name and it's wrong. And I'm one of them. I am one of them. I'm going to tell you a quick story. When I started this company, The Secret Cocktail, it was originally CNA Instructor Consultants. And when I named the company CNA Instructor Consultants, I did not know, and that was 6 years ago, I did not know that I was limiting myself. And so I didn't have the whole 5-year dream of this company. So I'm going to stop right now and tell everyone, have a 5-year dream of your company. Where do you see your company in 5 years? What are you doing? What are you selling? Who is your customer? How could your business grow? Because if it could grow, you may want to consider that. Now, some people like to be niche. I could have been niche and only did CNA stuff forever, right? But what I found was, as I got into business, people were contacting me wanting to start phlebotomy programs, medical assistant programs. They were wanting all types of stuff. Some of you guys put what you do in the chat for your business, and I'm going to give you some examples for you too. Go ahead and tell me what you sell or what your service is in the chat. But anyway, nevertheless, the name needs to be able to touch both as you grow. Because if I'm CNA instructor consultants and people want me to help them start a phlebotomy program or an LPN program, that could be confusing to them. Because I told them I do CNA instructor. I didn't say I do phlebotomy or a patient care tech or LPN. And so I could be missing out on a lot of money and a lot of opportunities. So when you are naming your business, I want you to think about your 5-year plan where you can see yourself in 5 years. That's number one. And then I also want you to think about the 4 L's. And so the 4 L's is, again, another one of my frameworks that I use when I help people start businesses. The 4 L's are legacy, location, love, or literal. And I'm going to explain each one of these as we go through. Okay. And by the way, everyone who's here, please take a moment and subscribe. If you are not subscribed to my channel, because I know I done gave you some gems already. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you have not hit the like button, please hit like. I do all this for free. My YouTube channel, I do not ask or expect anybody to give me anything for free, or give me anything rather for doing these videos. So I do them for free. So just being able to hit like, it helps me grow and helps me make money from other people and not you. So I appreciate that. All right, so legacy. Think of Ford. Have you guys heard of Ford Motor Company? The Ford cars, right? Automotive. That was Henry Ford. His last name was Ford. That is an example of a legacy brand. For now on, for the rest of our lives, when we think of Ford Motor Company, we're going to always think about Henry Ford. He created it, and he created a legacy that we will always remember. Now, there's a positive and there's a negative side to this. The negative side is, in the beginning, don't nobody know who Ford is, Mr. Ford. So you running around trying to tell people about this business you got and Ford this and Ford that, but don't nobody know you. Okay? Nobody knew Versace. Nobody knew any of those people. But what happens is you got to be a strong seller if you're going with legacy, because over time, people are going to know you for your name. And that is priceless. Okay, so a lot of people will choose legacy because they want to leave their name behind. They want to be remembered forever, whatever their reason is. Let's see. We got bracelets, necklaces, crochet hats. We've got, nobody else told me what their business is. So please put that in the chat so I can use you as examples. All right, the next, and I think Kaba Love, you kind of play off of legacy, but you also play off of my L for love. Not just because love is in your name, but love because sometimes we can create a business name in an attempt to evoke emotions from people. Okay, so let me give you an example. Who's heard of the company Visiting Angels? Visiting Angels is a home healthcare agency, and they deploy healthcare workers to your home to help grandma or to help grandpa. And when we hear the name Visiting Angels, we immediately think, oh my God, like I'm going to have an angel visit me. That means she's going to be the bomb. She's going to be the best. No way can she be demon-like. No way can she be a bad caregiver. No way can she be mean. We immediately thought that this is going to be a person who's going to give top-notch care because they're an angel. So when the people created that company, Visiting Angels, they used my L for love. They evoked an emotion in people with the name of their business. I have some, I'm trying to think of another company who did that. And you guys chime in. Let me know if you can think of any businesses also, as I've been giving these examples. Now, I'm going to go back to the second one, which was location, because I kind of skipped over location. I did legacy, which is your name. I did love, like you're evoking emotions in people when you create your business name. And now the next one is location. Now, location is good if you're going to have a brick and mortar or a locally based business, because now you become a pillar in that community. So I think, let me give you an example. There is, let me see where I saw somebody from. I saw somebody from Orange County, California. Let's say I'm starting a veterinarian clinic, and my veterinarian clinic is called Orange County Vet. Now, what happens is I created a business name that has to do with the location in which I'm at, and so therefore I'm going to become a pillar in the community. Anytime somebody thinks about a veterinarian clinic, they're going to always automatically think about me because I'm in Orange County. I'm the Orange County vet. Like, I claimed it. I took that name. Nobody can take that from me type thing. Even though I am not Orange County, I'm not. I just created a name based upon Orange County. And because of that, people associate me with Orange County, and I kind of become a legacy pillar in that community, and people think of me first. That is the power of utilizing location. It doesn't even have to just be okay, in Indiana, we have an event every year called Three Rivers Festival. That's based off location. There are three rivers that flow through Fort Wayne, Indiana, and they took that and they branded it and they made an event out of it. Three Rivers Festival probably has nothing to do with the city of Fort Wayne. Probably, I don't know. I'm just speaking. But anyone could have created a Three Rivers Festival. Anyone could have created an Anthony Wayne Center, right? Whatever, because those are names of that particular community that we all know. And so you can create your business based off of location. And then last one is literal. That's my last L. And literal means you just name your business exactly what you do. Like me, CNA instructor consultants. That's what we do. We consult with CNA instructors. So you could just simply be jewelry. Jewelry is us. Jewelries are us, right? Whatever. It's just naming what you do. The problem with literal, though, is that if you look to grow, which is what I've already told you, is that you kind of have already placed yourself in this box. And so when you go to grow, it may or may not be a little hard for you because literally everyone knows you for jewelry. But now, I don't know, now you want to sell t-shirts, or now you want to sell makeup or whatever, and it's going to be hard to sell this makeup because you have this name of Jewels R Us. So why is Jewels R Us selling me lip gloss? Or why are they selling me eyeshadow? Like, that feels weird. So be conscious of that. I think love doesn't really have too many negatives to that. Location does have a negative to it that I didn't mention, and that is if you plan on growing and becoming nationwide or going to other cities, like Orange County vets trying to go to New York, that's going to be weird, right? So you do need to consider that and think about that. So now that I've given you guys some of my feedback on how to identify your business name, has that changed your thought processes on how you name your business in the future, or how you're going to name your business, or what you're going to consider when you name your business? Let me know. All right, moving on. I got a chat. Okay, let's see. Eventually, I will be going into speaking. So my name, Uniquely Sark, is playing off of my rare disease that I carry, and there is a story behind my name. Okay, so then that means that you're using the L for love. You're evoking an emotion based upon your name. Very, very good. Okay, so next is virtual addresses. Remember, we're on the names framework. So we've talked about the name of your business. Now we're talking about A for address. And the reason why I put here is get you a virtual address is because a lot of people don't realize, okay, that when you file your business name and you put your personal home address on your business filing, that is filed with the Secretary of State, which is a consumer facing platform. That means anybody, okay, from your 5-year-old daughter who's asking Siri to look, because these kids are crazy now, they just talking to phones and telling it to do stuff and it's doing it. So this could be from your 5-year-old niece or nephew telling Siri to give her the address to so-and-so business, in which that information can be pulled from the Secretary of State, all the way to a disgruntled customer. You sold a piece of jewelry that was it broke, and now they're mad about it, and they paid $50 for it, and they don't appreciate it. Or you put a person through your CNA program, and they didn't pass the CNA exam, and now they're mad at you, and they're going to come get you, right? So at the Secretary of State, when you first started your business, you didn't have a location in the beginning. 9 times out of 10, you are not going to have a location when you start your business. If you did have a location when you started your business, you did it wrong. I mean, unless someone just handed you a location. Nobody should have a location before doing any of this stuff I'm talking about right now. So anyway, if you started a business, you did not have a location, which means that you had to put an address on your Secretary of State filing, or you're going to need to. I'm telling you right now that using your personal address is one of the biggest mistakes very new entrepreneurs make, because that is filed forever. Even if you change your address, it is always going to say, it's going to always show the history, 9 times out of 10, it's going to show the history of your prior addresses. And if your personal address is there and you made somebody mad, they can come see about you or whatever weird stuff they want to do, because people are weird nowadays. So my highest recommendation to anybody is, number one, do not use your personal address on your Secretary of State filing. If you don't know what Secretary of State filing is, I'm going to tell you in a minute, but do not use it. And then B, you want to make sure that if you did, that you go and change it. Okay. And how do you change it? Well, you get what's called a virtual address. And so virtual addresses are not P.O. boxes. Okay, do not get a P.O. box, because the Secretary of State knows that that is a P.O. box. It's the Secretary of State is a state program, and P.O. boxes are a federal program, and they talk. So when you go to file your Secretary of State and you put in a P.O. box address, it's gonna say, homie, you ain't slick. That ain't your address. That's the United States Postal Office address, and we ain't taking it. I'm trying to save you money. Do not go and spend money on that. What you should spend money on, however, is maybe a UPS virtual address, a FedEx if they have one, or a iPostal one, or just Google. You know, sometimes there's local areas that offer a virtual address for you or a virtual office for you. Those are what they usually call virtual address or virtual office. But what it is basically a real address where a real mailbox is. But rather than saying mailbox 1, mailbox 2, it'll say suite 1, suite 2, or whatever. And so it looks like this is a real deal address according to GPS, but you have or own a suite within that address. Okay? So get you this is why I said it's not in order. You need to get a virtual address first before you do the name of your business. I hope that's helpful. Any questions? And by the way, y'all can post questions as I'm going through this. If you got a question, I prefer interaction. I wish I could interact with y'all verbally, but you know, this is the way YouTube works. So please feel free to type something in the chat if you have a question for me. Okay, Kaba Love says, well, thank you for pointing that out. My name is Kaba Love. It stands because there's a particular reason for this name. Okay. Feel free to share the reason. All right, next is filing your business name. So now we done talked about how to name it, the fact that we need to be getting money to do all of this stuff, because yes, this stuff does cost money. And please make sure that you are keeping your receipts for all this stuff that you're doing, because all these things are tax deductible afterwards. Okay? So now we're getting ready to go to the Secretary of State and we're getting ready to file our business name. When you file your business name with the Secretary of State, you're going to have multiple options, but these are the top 3. Normally, you can file your business as a sole proprietor. You can file it as a corporation, or you can file it as an LLC. And so most people choose LLC. Now, I'm going to stop right here and tell you this. I am not an attorney. Okay, this is not advice for you specifically. Everyone's situation is different. I'm going to explain each one of these. I'm going to tell you what I did. It is completely up to you, and think about your business structure and how you're going to do it. But LLC is a legal entity, stands for limited liability company. And basically, as long as you do what you're supposed to do and you keep all of your personal things separate from your business things, then you will keep yourself protected. So if someone sues your business because, I don't know, your bracelet broke them out and they got infected and then they have to have their ankle amputated. I don't know. I know that's extra, but crazy stuff happens, right? The McDonald's gave out coffee. You bought coffee and it's hot, but someone drank it and burnt their mouths and sued, right? So people sue for weird stuff. So if someone were to sue, they can only sue your company with a limited liability company. So that would be a reason why you would want to file an LLC, is to separate your personal assets from the businesses. I do want to give a piece of information here though, because for 6 years now, I have been consulting with people to get businesses started, and I can't tell you how many people I see swiping their LLC business card at the liquor store or swiping their LLC business card at Family Dollar. Okay, do not do that, because now you are crossing your business with your personal, Because I'm telling you now, I can't understand why um, CNA school is buying liquor, right? That doesn't make sense. So if there's a question to it, when IRS, if you happen to get audited, the IRS is going to ask that, and if you can't answer it, it looks bad. Also, in addition to that, if someone goes to sue your company, they can now sue you. Because I'm not an attorney, but those are things I have learned from business. So next is the corporation. Corporation is a company that you created because you plan on selling shares of your company later. And I want to get to the status one day, or I want to have those kind of hopes for myself one day. I would love to create a corporation in which I sell shares of that company to other people. And then the more people invest and purchase those shares of your company, the more they're investing in your company. Like for those of you who may own shares of Amazon, Apple, Tesla, whatever, now you are a partial owner. And so every time that company makes money, you make money. You yourself, regular old you, regular old me, Victoria, we can go and start a corporation and we can set it up and we can sell shares of our corporation. And as we make money, we can pay dividends to those people and so on. So that is a thing that everyday people can do. The next one is sole proprietor. Sole proprietor is basically, I don't feel like setting up a separate business. I'm not doing all of that. It ain't that serious. This is my business. I'm doing it under my own personal, finances, and I don't mind if something happens. I'm not doing that kind of business that's going to cause issues. So if something happens and it comes back on me, it is what it is, right? Sole proprietor means I am the only person that owns it, and my personal funds are kind of connected to this business. Now, I will say with corporations and LLCs, those typically tend to be more than one person. They could be one in the beginning, but as time goes, they could be more than one. All right. Next up is how to prepare your business life. So I'll say I hope so far you all have gotten what you came for. If there's a question that I did not answer or something I did not say that you thought you were going to get today, please ask the question in the chat. But getting your business life together. So how to prepare for getting your business up and going. Number one, you need, again, this is just a refresher. We need to file our Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is where you file your business name. At that time, you need to determine if you're going to be an LLC, a corporation, or a sole proprietor. We also need to get an EIN. An EIN stands for Employer Identification Number. When you Google this, there is going to be 2 or 3 services that pop up first that are going to try to charge you for this. This is not a chargeable service. This is a free service provided by the federal government. You do not need to pay anybody to get an EIN. If you are confused on that, please let me know when you're doing that. You should not be paying anybody to create an EIN for you. An EIN is basically your business's social security number. So whenever you file taxes for your business, you can file it up underneath your EIN. I believe if you do a sole proprietor, you don't need an EIN, but again, I'm not a lawyer. Okay. So next is get a business bank account. With your business bank account, this keeps your business separate from your personal. Again, if you're a sole proprietor, you don't need all that. This is another reason why a lot of people like sole proprietor, because they ain't got to do all of this, right? They don't got to get EIN, they ain't got to get a business account, they don't have to do all of this. But some people, like me, I like my business to be completely separate. So in this scenario, am I still live? Okay, I hope I'm still live. But in this scenario, I like to ensure that my business is completely separate from my personal, because for me, it helps me to be able to measure how well my business is doing. And I like to pay myself as an employee of my business. I like to keep my money from my business separate because I like to buy assets with my business because it's taxed differently and so on. So for me, I like to keep it separate. But anyway, get your business bank account at the end of the day, because you need to have that stuff separate and people need to respect you as a business. Then we have CPA. It's very important to get yourself a CPA as your business grows. So if you do get a separate company, you file your company separate, and you have your LLC and you have your personal assets and stuff. A CPA is a certified public accountant, and they can help you manage that. I mean, every month, y'all. Every month for about the first 2 or 3 years of my business, I was like, oh, okay, adding up all my income. Okay, this month I made $30,000. Ooh, but this month I spent 20,000. Okay, well I only made 10,000, right? So I was doing that every month all by myself. It was a lot. And I mean, I was literally spending a whole Sunday just doing that. Oh, okay. Now I saw I made 50,000 this month, and I got my expenses down, and I made 10,000. I spent 10,000 rather. Okay, great. So now I made 40. So, but for you, what I want to tell you is, if you have a CPA, they already did that for you, and then they just present it to you, and now you can make business choices and decisions based upon your income versus your expenditures. So I really like having a CPA. And when you grow your company, if you don't have a CPA, or you can't provide a balance sheet or a profit and loss statement, people don't want to do business with you. I'm going to say that again. If you cannot, when you're trying to grow your business, if you cannot provide a profit and loss statement, and you cannot provide a balance sheet, it looks like you don't have your financials in order, and you're not able to get government contracts, you're not able to get corporate accounts. Like, nobody wants to fool with you. No one's wanting to give you grant money, none of that stuff, because you can't even take care of your own money. You don't even know how much money you got. Why are we about to give you some? So having a CPA is crucial. And what not to do. What not to do is funny. But what not to do is, number one, do not go and get a location for your business if you plan on doing a brick and mortar right away until you figure out everything. And when I say figure out everything, I mean figure out everything. You need to figure out how much money you bringing in, or how much money you need to bring in. You need to find out how much all your overhead. I mean, it's just like your life. I got to pay this for rent. I got to pay this for my water. I got to pay this for my electricity. I got to pay this for groceries, blah, 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 right? Okay, so that's $4,000, but this month I'm only making $4,500. So I'm only going to have 500 left over. How I'm going to make this work? Your business is exactly the same. The only difference is you're projecting, because you don't know how much money you're really going to bring in a business at the beginning. You're just trying to figure it out. So now we're looking at, okay, well, I know if my hats all cost $20, and I know I have a personal goal of wanting to make $10,000 a month, how many hats do I need to sell to make this $10,000? Like, that's how I reverse engineer everything in my business. This month I want to make 30,000. Okay, how many customers I got to get to make this money? Oh, okay, I need to have 3 customers. Bam. My goal this month is 3 customers. And I'm going to work hard to get those 3 customers. You don't always make your quota, and that's okay. But if you don't have a goal, you don't have anything to work towards. And so for that reason, many businesses don't do well, because they don't have those conversations with themselves. Oh, I have to sell 100 hats this month to make the money I need. And then not only that, but how much did it cost me to make these hats? Right? If it cost me $10 worth of equipment just to make this hat, should I be selling it for 20, or should I be selling it for 25 or 30? Right? So we have to look at the whole, because if I want to make, I don't know, $3,000 this month, I got to make sure that I'm making enough money off each one of these hats minus my expenditures. So if I don't even know that, there's no reason why I should be getting a location. That's all I'm saying. Do not get a location until you have your financials figured out, if you have a brick and mortar business. If you have a virtual based business, there's still overhead. You still got to pay for your ads online. You still got to pay for your website. You got to pay for your website hosting. You got to pay for people making transactions through your website if you have where they can click and buy. Again, you have to buy your product if it's a product. There's all types of things. If you don't know how much you spend every month on products for your business, you're doing it wrong. For those of you watching, you don't have to admit it's you or not, okay? But I'm telling you now, if I were to ask you, how much money do you spend every month on products for your business, or whatever it costs you to make your service, and you can't answer me, then you're doing something wrong. So I can tell you every month how much I'm spending on both my businesses. And I can tell you how much my goal is to make in both my businesses, because I have 2. I have a consulting company, and I have a healthcare training school, and I'm about to have a third one. I'm about to have a lab. I have a clinic, and I'm going to add a lab to it. So anyway, the next one is, if you do get a brick and mortar, let me go back here. If you do get a brick and mortar, do not sign your lease without an attorney reviewing it first. This is crucial. I have definitely accidentally signed leases in the beginning because nobody told me this and I didn't know. And I signed a lease that had all types of crap in it that was not good for me. I'll give you an example. I signed a lease one time that told me that I was responsible for the water heater in the event that it goes out. I was like, okay, I guess I don't have any choice, and I signed it. If I would have had an attorney, my attorney would have said, hey, Victoria, you need to ask them how old is that water heater, right? If the water heater was from 1999 and here we are in 2025, then you're not going to be responsible for that water heater. Or if they want you to be responsible, they need to put a new one in, or maybe we'll negotiate 70, 30 something, but you're not going to be responsible for that water heater. And I didn't know those things. So, or the air conditioning unit. If the air conditioning unit goes out, I'm responsible. Those are not cheap. Those are $2,000 or $3,000 items. So when you get a brick and mortar, you need to read that lease and you need to find out whether or not you are responsible for certain things. And don't think just because they said you're responsible, you are. You can negotiate. My last lease that I signed, I know they didn't offer me nothing to build out my space. I negotiated $13,000 for them to give me for me to build my space out. Yeah. So, but you think they just gonna offer you that in the beginning? No. I had an attorney. We looked at the lease. She told me a few things I should negotiate, things I should do. We looked at the last time renovations were done on the location. Like we did all types of stuff. And we presented to them our ask to change the lease. And they agreed. Because why? They want somebody to sign a lease. So nine times out of 10, they're going to agree. They're just not going to offer that up front because who would? Like, why am I just going to give you all this stuff when you might just sign it without me giving you any of that? So please, please, please be willing to negotiate. Have an attorney with you because, again, I didn't know to ask those things. If you have an attorney, look at your lease. It'll help. Next, do not put your personal address on your business entity filing. When I say your business entity, that's the same thing as your Secretary of State. That's the same thing as filing an LLC. It's the same thing as filing a corporation or sole proprietor. Okay, do not put your personal address on it. And then lastly, do not, I don't think you guys can see it, but do not conduct any personal business from your business bank account. Okay, I don't care if you at Walmart and you open up your wallet and the only credit card was in there or the only debit card that was in there was your business debit card. Do not do it. All it takes is one audit. And next thing you know, they going back years and years and years on you, trying to find everything you've ever done. And before you know it, you owe the IRS all kinds of money. So that is that is today. So tomorrow, thank you guys so much for coming. I made it right on time. Okay, so tomorrow at noon, we will be talking about how to look at your competitors. So for those of you who are here, I want you to identify who your potential competitors are for your current company. And I might use you as a case study to see if I can find more competitors or something you didn't find, because I'm all about challenging people and I'm all about doing and not just listening and watching. So if you're about to be with me through this next series for the next few days, I want you to be doing. So anything you heard today, tell me what you're going to implement in the chat. What do you need to change? What are you going to do? Let me know. And then come tomorrow with some of your competitors, and I can't wait to meet you. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know that we're going to stop this stream, but I am still looking at the chat. I'm going to be looking at the chat, answering any of your questions on the chat, but for those of you who are done, you can come back. If you just got here late and you want to see the replay, please, because this was some good information, y'all. Was it some good information? Let them know if it was some good information. And again, type in what you are going to do to change in your business that you learned today. I need you to do something actionable. Do not just sit here and listen, log off, and go do the same old thing you've been doing, and then come tomorrow and listen and log off and do the same old thing. That's not why we're here. We get stuff done here at the Secret Cocktail. Tell me what you're going to do to change your business or to get your business started moving forward.